Hello, my name is Inozemtsev, and I am working in a Xorret software company as a development team leader of our product for UI testing named Q7. And to begin with, I want to start with a discussion about UI testing in general. So, why UI testing is important and required? At first, it is important, in my opinion, that it tests end-user product. So it tests what the user gets, not the source code in a developer's workspace. And typically UI tests are based on real use case scenarios. They are not testing classes and packages. And I think in modern world, with modern applications, what we see today, when applications consist of a lot of stuff put together with some gluing code, unit tests make a don't make a lot of sense. It's more important to ensure that things work together well. And also UI tests are more natural for adding regression testing, so that it's possible to create a test case which exactly reproduces a bug found by user, that you can follow steps which leads to this behavior. And several years ago, I have a lot of experience with a different UI testing tool, and after that I became very skeptical in UI testing in general, because you spend weeks to learn a tool and create some useful test suite, but you end up with a really small test suite which don't test some advanced UI features and with very fragile tests. And so I thought for a long time that it doesn't worth it. But now I'm going to show you that it is possible to create a stable, robust UI tests just in minutes. Yeah, so our testing tool works only with Eclipse RCP applications, and it's of course also RCP application itself, and it should look familiar. And I can start with a creation of new project. Let's call it Q7 demo. Okay, and as an application under test, I am going to use Eclipse Java development tools, as I think everyone is familiar with it. And I'm going to start with the creation of a simple test case which creates a new Java project. Okay, and now, of course, I need to add an application under test, and all I need to do is to browse for it on a file system. So I just select Eclipse directory, and under the hoods, in the meantime, our application analyzes application under test and creates a new target platform from it, which includes Q7 runtime. And so that the application is not modified on a disk. We don't put any extra stuff inside and don't change any configuration files of itself. Mm-hmm. Okay, and once it's started, we can launch it. And in the meantime, during startup, Q7 runtime uses aspect-J to instrument all platform classes to get an important information for test creation and execution. Yes, once an application has started, I can start a recording. We use a capture replay approach. And I just do normal actions like create a new Java project. Let's name it sample. And once the project is created, I want to ensure that things act as we expect. At first, I want to make sure that there is a source folder, and to test it, I can just select this folder. So during replay, if this folder will be unavailable, test will fail. but also we can test any property of UI widgets. For this, we can switch to a special assertion mode, and in this mode, I can select any widget, and in this case, I need these three, as I want to ensure that there is exactly one project in the workspace. So I select it and see its properties, and what I'm interested in is item count. So I'm selecting this property, clicking add, and I'm done. Let me remove this project to replay a script. Yeah. Of course, in normal case, we don't need to remove projects manually, and I will return to it in a few minutes. But for now, let's just consider that this test case must be executed when an application is in a state when workspace is empty. So I'm saving the script and going back to Q7. And now I want to talk a bit. Let's take a look at recorded script. So we use it capture replay. The result is just a plain text. It's a script which can be modified or written from scratch or extended. And the language we use itself is an open source and quite understandable. So it's named the ECL, Eclipse Command Language, and it consists from commands with arguments which are connected by pipes. And there are EMF objects coming from pipe coming between commands. So command get view package explorer takes a view descriptor, writes it to its output. Get tree command takes a widget from its input, finds a tree inside it, and finally get menu searches for a context menu from it, and finally command click generates events to click on it. And so the first important thing here is that it's modifiable and extendable, and the second thing that there is no any waiting logic. So in the script, once we clicked on a context menu, the next command already operates with a new Java project window. There is no any wait statements or any other logic to wait for this window to appear. And the same with finish. Once we click the finish button, we immediately go to Package Explorer and work with this tree. This happens because Q7 runtime understands everything what happens inside an application, and it can understand that some UI operations started background jobs, and it waits for their completion before switching to the next command. Okay, now let's back to state. How to make sure that workspace is clear. In Q7, we have a concept of context. Context is a declarative description of some part of an application state, so that we can describe that the workspace is empty, or this editor is open, this property is set to true. And the test case certainly relies on some state, and it is possible to refer to a context to describe the parts of a state which are important. For this test case, for us it is important that workspace is empty, and I am creating new context of a type workspace, and let's name it empty workspace. And I don't need to modify anything here for this case because it's already states that workspace must be clear and no projects inside. And I add this test case to a workspace, to a test case, save it, and now I can replay it as many times as I want. And we can see that workspace is cleared, then test case is executed. And for the second test case, I am going to test a new class creation. And in this case, we need to rely on a state that there is already empty Java project in the workspace. So I'm going to create a new context, again, workspace type, and name it empty Java project. And our context can capture the state from an application to to create a context fast. So right now an application is already, workspace is already in a state we want. So I just click in a capture here, and the context is populated with the contents of a workspace, and I can save it and creating a new test case. And again, I'm starting recording. And I want to ensure this time at first that outline view shows a class. So I just select it. And then I want to ensure that editor contents are what we actually expect. So again, I'm switching to assertion mode. Select a text editor, a Java editor, and saying that I want to assert a text property. So now we have two test cases, and because of contexts, tests don't rely on each other and can be run in any order. And I can launch all test cases from my project just by right-clicking a project and run as test cases. Yeah. And in execution view, we can see that tests are passed. But that's not the whole story. Now we need to be able to run these test cases in continuous integration environment. So, and for this purpose, Q7 has a Q7 Runner, command line tool for running test cases, and Q7 Maven plugin, which is just another way of invoking Q7 Runner, which allows to specify all necessary options in a POM file. So I'm going to generate a POM XML file, and I can change artifact ID, and in Maven plugin configuration, there is a lot of comments describing all possible things can be done here, but the most important thing is where to get an application under test. There are many ways to get it, like download from HTTP, take from a zip file from a folder relative to current, like from a build result. But for now, I'm just going to explicitly set its location to a folder. And I need to specify which Q7 runner to use. Q7 Maven plugin can download it automatically, but again, for the demo, I just want to specify a direct path to it. Now let's share it to a source control system. I'm going to use a Git. Yeah, and I also have a Hudson running locally, and I can create a new job here. And all I need to specify here that I'm going to use a Git. Oops. And I'm going to use a Maven with default goals, and my build will produce JUnit test results in a target directory. So I can save it and build it now. So if we'll check a console output, we will see that Q7 Maven plugin has started Q7 Runner, and Q7 Runner currently launching application under test. And we see that application is starting. And tests are running. And as they are running, we can see a result in console that both tests are passed. And we see a green build here, and if we take a look at test result, there are 2 hour test cases. So finally, I hope I showed that capture and replay approach does work. Anyone can create UI tests really fast, and in fact, it is in the same order of magnitude as running manual tests manually. That continuous integration can be set up really quickly. And finally, it is possible to create a test suite which tests a reasonable amount of functionality just in days, not in weeks or months. I think I'm done. Thank you.